So today we are learning about how to make video on LinkedIn work for us, but not just by the number of likes and shares, but by leads and money in the bank. And I'm joined today by Jack Gaisford from the Content Club, all the way from the UK. Jack, welcome on the
Thanks
show.
for having me, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, cool, mate. For people that don't know you, which they're not that many, you are almost 40,000 subscribers. Oh, well, so it's not subscribers, followers, because I keep mixing it up with YouTube. But on LinkedIn, you're almost 40,000. Congrats on that. For people that don't know you, just give us a few seconds, few minutes about, well, let's not go too long, but about yourself, let's give people a reason to watch, based on your expertise.
Yeah, cool, man. So I'm Jack. I'm 29. I'm an ex-agency owner here in the UK. We used to run one of the bigger agencies down in the southeast of the UK. We used to run video production company, and we worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. We did that for 8 years, and then in 2024, I shut the doors to that. I started a community called the Content Club, and today I help small business owners to be able to refine, market, and grow their small business through video-first content.
Amazing. I like that, very straight and to the point. I still need to refine my own elevator pitch, how they call it, in a way. Cool. But do you think this video content is for everybody? Because can it be teach? Can it be taught? Because I do feel like, some people are like, this is not me. I don't like to hear my voice. I don't think I'm good on the screen. Some of them are perceptions. Some people are quite bad. I'm not that great, but I just do it anyway. But what's your point on
Yeah,
from
good
this?
question. I don't think it's for everybody. I think it's a very powerful way of marketing, but you have to be. You can't be boring. There are a lot of people who create videos who just are boring people, and their content doesn't work because they have quite a dry personality or they're not eccentric on camera. When you create videos, you are at the mercy of who you are at your core, and if you're dry and if you complain a lot and you're quite negative and you're quite flat, it's not going to come across well on camera. So I probably stick to writing in that sense. Some people have a face for radio. It's still very true in the video space. So I don't think it's for everybody.
And it can be still very strong
100%,
if you use it properly,
100%.
right?
But I don't think it's for everybody. I think if you feel driven to create video and you like the feeling of creating content and it allows you to express yourself or market your business in a way that can stand out, 100%. But it's not the only format. Newsletters, emails, writing, podcast, radio, blogs, designs, whatever you want, carousels. There's so many other ways to market your business. I've been making videos since I was 15, so it's more natural to me than other people. I think the generation that are coming into the workforce now, they've grown up with the internet. They're coming in with 4K cameras on their mobile phones, so it's natural to lean into video. I think for the, older millennials, boomers, those sorts of people, it's not as natural because they weren't born with that instinct to jump straight on and create a TikTok account and do a weekly vlog, and it was you kind of had your inner circle and that was it. Whereas now we're so connected to people on the other side of the planet, I think it's more accessible when you're younger now to create stuff. So roundabout way of saying, no, it's not for everybody. If it's your jam and you feel that's your approach, go for it, but don't feel the pressure to do them if they're not up your street.
Yeah, we're going straight into value here. I'm not one of those, that leaves the good stuff to the end and all that. So if you could, what's the framework? If let's say, you've got people in your content, in the Content Club, which by the way, we'll leave all the links below. And for people that want to join and, make their businesses thrive with video, they'll all be there. But there are probably people that joined that they're not that confident, let's say. What's the framework? Because I think, sometimes what it works is the strategy behind it. It's not just putting the camera in front of you and be terrified, because if you know that there is a framework and the basics almost, then it's going to be a lot easier to press play.
Definitely. So I work with people who have already created it. So I don't work best with people who are petrified of getting on camera and they've never made a video before, because it's a really steep jump from never making a video to making your first. There's a lot that is more psychological and more emotional, and it's more like counseling in that period. personal confidence, battling anxiety. There's a lot of steps there. But going from your first video to your 100th video and seeing that progression of where I started to where I am now is, I would argue, a lot simpler of a journey to go through. So in terms of frameworks, I work with people who have just started. If you've already made your first video, there is no framework, it's just practice. Like you would if you were learning to swim or driving a car or flying a plane. Not that I've ever done that. I can imagine flying a plane is scary when you first get into the cockpit. And then by your 10,000th hour, you're going to be pretty damn good at it. It's the same thing with video. There is no exact way to do it. Yes, you have structural, hook, call to action, etc., etc. That's standard. But again, if you're boring and if you're not confident on camera, it doesn't matter how well you structure or how well you frame your piece of content, because you need to work on delivery. So it's a natural progression that happens through doing the thing and through learning from experience and from trial and error, basically, which is what we try to teach in the community. It's why I don't do a course, because I don't believe that people can learn something and then immediately implement. I don't think that's how people work. The stat for courses, I think, is it's 8. Take this with a massive pinch of salt if you're listening. 8% of people finish a course. And then of those 8%, 12% of those people implement what they learn. So if you had 1,000 people, you'd have about 5 to 10 people that would actually implement what they've learned. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do well with that implementation. It just means that they've done it. So it's a very high barrier to entry format of content because it requires script writing, so copy. It requires design in terms of thumbnail design and packaging. It requires SEO knowledge for titles and descriptions and keywords. It requires video editing, camera skills. It's very weighted. So I would just say, if you feel confident and you like the idea of doing video, just start filming stuff on your phone. You don't have to post it. Just get used to the rhythm of things. Talk to yourself on camera, which can feel really alien if you haven't done that before, if you're just getting started. And over time, you'll very quickly know whether you love it or you hate it. And if you hate it, no one should be pushing you to keep going and to keep going and to keep going. It doesn't make sense. So yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, I had conversations with people, I want to start my own podcast. I know I can't do it with you. You're probably too expensive and all that. But I'm like, come and have a chat, happy to help. If I can give you some advice, no problem. And they're always thinking gear first. And, it's like, okay, what microphones do we need? I'm like, start with your phone. You might hate it, you might invest in all this gear and, you'll do probably one episode. You won't be consistent. You won't have the consistency. You'll be like, what? I thought it's actually better. I thought it'll be better than I expected. So yeah, it doesn't work for everybody. Yeah, you got to test it, and you're totally right. We've got these phones; they're amazing these days. You just give it a go, see how it works, and then in time, if you want. I mean, I've got one of my colleagues, for example. He started the YouTube channel. He's doing board gaming and Warhammer 4K and all that. I'm not into that, but I can hear him every day. He's my manager. So because I've got a YouTube channel, he kind of got that. Thinking, oh, you know what, I can do it as well. I'm like, sure you can. And he's got such an interesting way of presenting them. But he started with his phone and he's still doing it with his phone. And he got monetized and all that. And he'll slowly buy cameras. But you got to start somewhere.
I love that.
Now going back to LinkedIn, because that's why we're here. How do you attract the right followers? And how do you attract the right people, that can as I said at the beginning, be the right prospects or bring money in the bank, because let's be honest, hobby is hobby, but we're still here to make it profitable.
Definitely. I think LinkedIn's an interesting platform. It's not the only platform I am on, but I put 50% of my time into LinkedIn as a platform. So I feel like I've done it pretty well. I've been doing it now for almost 10 years, almost a decade, Christ. And it's changed a lot as a platform, I think, over the last year, really. Recently they've changed a lot of their algorithm from a a recency to a relevancy algorithm. So whatever is newest is now not showing up in the feed. It's what is relevant to people, what is educational. They've kind of gone down this route of professional education. So teaching people what you know, thought leadership style of content, professional type of content. Saying that, I think there's a big misconception, or there's a big, which I feel very passionate about. A lot of very young business owners on the platform who kind of have this very steep, very sudden rise. And it's because they are what I call meta creators. So they create content about creating content on LinkedIn. And they kind of push that, oh, you need to be getting more impressions and you need to be getting more views and more followers. It couldn't be further from the truth. Really, as a smaller business, I'm guessing this is the audience that we're talking to here, smaller business owners, you need 5 people to buy your stuff, and you're laughing, you know. So you don't need an audience of 100,000 people. I've got 40,000 people that follow me, but that's been built over 10 years. And I would argue now 98% of those are a dead audience that I'm, you know, in the loveliest way.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah, 100%. But they're just not relevant to where I'm at now because my business has changed. My product is completely different. Who I am as a person has totally changed as well. So I'm talking to a very small percentage of those people. And I've even been toying around with the idea now of, do I just start a new LinkedIn and start from zero again and build a highly engaged, very niche audience up again? 1,000 people, a couple of thousand people that follow me. It sounds quite appealing. So really it starts from content, and it starts from how you position yourself as a thought leader or a business owner. LinkedIn, your profile is your landing page, and it's got to do everything that it can to convert that attention from your content into a newsletter or a lead magnet or your website or a form or something like that. If you're just putting content out and hoping that someone magically gets in touch to say, hey, Jack, I want to buy your stuff, it's not going to happen, mate. You know, so we need to be very systematic. We need to funnel people through. It's kind of what I'm getting at here. But it all starts with being laser focused on what are you driving this attention to. Lead magnet, for example, if you're a marketing person, it might be that you do a 2026 breakdown at the end of this year, and you can get people to download that and give you their email addresses in exchange for downloading this thing. Awesome. You've got all this data now, and all this big list of leads that you could then go and contact. My approach to LinkedIn and any social media platform is you either buy or fly. And what I mean by that is you're either here to purchase my stuff or fly the nest. I'm not really that fussed about people sticking around and liking my post and saying, oh, Jack, great video today. It was amazing. It's like, cool. Do you want to buy my stuff potentially a little bit? But you've got to do it in a way that it doesn't feel salesy, and you can't lead with a very selfish approach. You have to very much be focused on giving value to people, building that reciprocity, building that rapport, and over time, when the stars and moon align and they suddenly want what you offer, if you've built that familiarity and you've built that level of trust, chances are they're going to come to you as a product provider, service provider, etc. But that space of time can last anywhere from 3 to 6 to 12 months plus, depending on how much your service is, what you do, etc. For example, I run a community that, as probably when this podcast comes out, costs, I think it's about £1,000 a year up front, which is quite low ticket, versus selling pipe manufacturing to 10 of the top companies in the world where you don't do contracts for less than £10 million. I can't imagine someone's going to watch a LinkedIn video and go, I'm going to purchase. That's a 5-year relationship right there. So it's all relative to what you do. But the principle here comes down to you need to have something that people can bite on. You need to have something that people can give their data, email addresses, first names, last names, phone numbers in exchange for something that you have built. And you need to lead with value as opposed to sell.
Yeah, totally. And what I like about you, you are funny when you want to be funny. You are educational when you want to be educational, and you can be personal. I think it's something that you touch on your previous posts. That it's not a one fits all approach. You kind of need to meet people in different places to create that trust.
Definitely.
Right?
You need to diversify, and I think LinkedIn is a small part of the world, small part of the internet, and I think if you put all your eggs into one basket, in terms of you're putting all of your time and energy into LinkedIn. I think there's so many, it's called opportunity cost. There's so many wasted opportunities there. The biggest thing that I'm kind of playing with now, and I'm happy to share where my head's at with LinkedIn, is it's not what's called a discovery platform. So when you come onto LinkedIn, chances are you're not going, right, I'm going to watch Radu, I'm going to watch Jack, or I'm going to watch this person for half an hour and learn as much as I can from them. You're just going to go on and go scroll. There's nothing really there, leave. Or you're going to go scroll. That's a funny video, like, scroll. Oh, that's quite funny, like. There's no intent to the time that you spend on this platform as a consumer. Whereas TikTok or YouTube, where there is a search bar, the stat is, I think 67% of Gen Zs now go to TikTok over Google to search for an answer to a problem. Insane, because they can get the answer immediately in 60 seconds with a tutorial on how to do it. Google, you've got to find the right page and, oh no, that one's not quite right, and you've got to go back and search. Maybe you're on page 3. Takes more time. With AI, we're in this era of convenience and we need things immediately. We've gone from the answer... we've gone from the search stage to the answer stage, which is where we are now. We want the answer straight away. YouTube is good for this because you always go onto YouTube, generally knowing that in your course of the next half an hour or a couple of hours, you're going to be intentionally focused on this particular thing. You're going to watch the people that you have subscribed to because you know what to expect, or you're going to go onto YouTube to search for how to build a marketing strategy, or how do I make my first video. If you can create content as a business owner that solves those problems, even though they're going to get less views, the people who are watching those have much higher intent to solve the problem. And the chances are, if they have higher intent to solve the problem, they have higher intent to purchase what you offer. So I'm putting a lot of my time into YouTube. I'm going to start to explore creating another TikTok channel just for that search intent, because LinkedIn right now doesn't have that. And I just feel like there's a lot of time that I could be putting time elsewhere other than LinkedIn, basically.
And I'm big in testing. I don't know about you. I mean, not as much now, to be completely honest, since my daughter, the testing phase, is kind of completely gone. It's just, enough time for that. But yeah, most people won't know, which is not something that I'm extremely proud of. But years back, I started LinkedIn, by posting cooking videos on LinkedIn. I'm like, you know what? Let's see, yes. So I'm like, let's see how this goes, Obviously, it didn't do well because my videos were specifically intended for YouTube. It was just more of a repurposing. Well, not even repurposing. It's literally take it from here, put it there,
Cool.
It wasn't much to it, but it was an interesting way to see, well, this doesn't work, let's crack on. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't work generally. There are probably cooking channels on LinkedIn that do well. I've not searched yet, but it just wasn't me doing it right, probably. That's another thing, which, okay, you do it platform specific, which is something I think really important, instead of just doing a cookie cutter approach. Or at least that's how I see it. From the way you explain it, if you do search, that might not be the specific way of thinking it's not in LinkedIn, it's just, as you said, you go into the feed and you just see what's interesting, and you stop when you find stuff that's interesting, that hooks you, and you continue on it or not, and you move on.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. How do you see podcasting in building a personal brand? Because, okay, I'm a podcast maximalist, I do believe, that this gives you so many options. And you were touching on a few right at the beginning, newsletter, no problem. From this conversation, we can easily get one. A blog, sure, easy. My colleague is not here, but we usually do behind the scenes photos. We integrate that into a blog and all that. Can do that too. I don't know, clips, long videos, short videos, audio, how do you see it?
Again, you have to lean into the stuff that you are good at. I don't think you should spread yourself too thin. I think, a lot of people, when they're new to marketing, will do everything all at once. And they'll start a podcast and they'll do a newsletter and they'll commit to 5 times a week in terms of long form videos, and they'll want to do clips and photos and all the rest of it. And 3 months later, they'll be burned out and they'll be going, none of it's working. I'm not, nothing feels like it's clicking. And it's because everything's half-assed. You need to go a mile deep, not a mile wide with what you do, and try to master and really perfect one format on one platform before you start to expand. By that, I mean, if you love podcasting and you are an exceptional podcast host, you love being around people, you thrive in conversations, podcasting should be your format. Don't even worry about written, don't even worry about video, don't worry about newsletters, just do podcasts and go a mile deep in terms of depth and substance and value to become the best podcaster in the world at doing that thing. Otherwise, what you end up doing is, yeah, I'll start a podcast and I'll put out them when I can. I'll try and get some relatively nice guests on, but there's no desire to do better than that. And you end up falling into this very flat, very vanilla, like everyone's in the same sort of boat. Everyone kind of has a podcast. They put out a couple of episodes a week or a month. Maybe they're doing something on the side. It's not their full commitment. So I'd say dive into the stuff that you can fully commit to. I have done video pretty much solely for the last decade. I haven't really explored other avenues. I've always had an email list because I think email is great. I think it's really, really good. But I've toyed around with podcasts and I've toyed around with doing carousels and designs and all the rest of it. And it always just took my eye off the ball from the main thing, which I was good at, which was video. And I made the decision really a couple of years ago, just go, look, video is my format. I love it. I think I'm quite good at it. I'm slightly biased in that because I do them, but I think I'm all right at them. I think I've got quite a nice personality to get on camera. It doesn't make any sense for me to explore any other avenue at the moment. I've got my rhythm down with video. I know my process. I've got a studio that is set up that I can literally just press one button and in the recording, the lights are on, the mics are on, it's done. So why waste time anywhere else? I just don't think enough people put enough emphasis on being great at one thing. And it's kind of like we're in this world now where everyone has to be good at everything. You don't. And I think you just got to own your lane and stay in it. So for you, Radu, it will be podcasting. For me, it'll be video. For someone else watching, they might hate all of this. And they might just go, I love writing. I'm a poet. I love writing. I like communicating through written form. Do that. Be one of the best in the world at writing. Have one of the biggest newsletters in the world. Really own that niche and become great at it. Because I don't think there are very few people that are exceptionally great at what they do now. I think there's a lot of generalists out there, and I think that impacts your personal brand or the way that people perceive you online.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I've met one of the events. I talked to someone, an agency owner, and he was like, "Well, I see that all you do is podcasting," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of a believer in this. I might, I'll die by my own sword. And if it happens, not to be the right decision, so be it. I'll survive. I'll just move on to something else. But you're saying that don't pigeonhole yourself into that. It just feels like Jersey is not the right place for it. I mean, it's an island just of 100-something thousand, but the potential is there. There are a lot of big brands here. There are a lot of people, that could start a podcast, could make a. Could do well, using podcast content. And I thought, you know what, this is actually not good advice. I actually want to do that. That's my whole purpose. You go on my website, all you see is podcast. I don't say that I do anything else other than that. And it might sound a bit crazy, but that's how I roll, and I believe fully in that. And you're totally right. I guess if you do podcast and you get all these assets out of it, it's not necessarily wrong, but the focus should be still on getting the message right, getting that delivery right. And then if you get something extra out of it, happy days.
Podcasting as a format has changed a lot, though. In the last 5 years, podcasting has really blown up as a format. But people record it and they create clips of it and they do snippets for social on it, whereas a podcast is audio. It's just audio. That's what a podcast is supposed to be. A couple of people having a conversation that you can listen to on the radio or that you can spot on Spotify or Apple Music as you're doing your ironing in the evening or having your breakfast in the morning. And now it's turned into this, well, let's maximize it. Let's film it. Let's create a long form video. Let's create loads of short form videos let's create snippets and we can do a carousel on it. And if you're not great at that stuff, don't worry about it. Just do an audio podcast. For you obviously know what you're doing with the filming. You've got an awesome studio. You've got all the kit. It makes sense to show it off. But I'm just trying to reinforce that if you aren't good at video...
Oh, no, it's absolutely amazing. And that's one of my advices, if for people that are not entirely sure, well, we want to start, we don't know exactly, what about gear, what about that? I'm like, either start with your phone if you want to go video, which most people do. But that's also because it's a bit of a hype. Let's be honest. Quite frank. It's a bit of a hype. Not everybody should do podcasts, if you don't have something meaningful to say. But you can definitely start audio. You see that goes well, and you might want to, get your face out there, move into video, but at least you get the sense of, is this working?
100%.
Is the message right? Because the message, if it's wrong, it will be wrong in audio, but it will be even more probably wrong in video.
Yeah, I agree.
Because people will see you. So,
agree.
yeah,
I agree. I think a lot of people would track. So, for example, if you create a podcast and that does quite well in terms of downloads and performance, you're happy. But you'll also then judge all the sub-assets, the short-form content. Oh, the short-form hasn't done very well on YouTube Shorts. Like, why are we judging? This was not the point of the podcast anyway. The point of the podcast was to get on and build relationships and to have a really deep conversation with someone about a particular topic. So that's really the only thing we should be tracking, whether it has or hasn't done well. Don't worry about the 10th carousel that you've created on it, then it's only got 15 likes on Instagram. That wasn't the point. That wasn't the reason you did it. So I think you just got to be very mindful that almost every format of content now can have lots of different offcuts of things. Newsletters could become screenshots for a photo post on LinkedIn. A short form video could be turned into an audio only audiogram, or there's so many other variations we can have from staple formats of content now. I think it can get really confusing. So again, if you're doing a podcast, do the podcast. That's it. You're doing a long form video.
And it's also like something that's way overlooked. And, almost people are surprised when I have these conversations, in my meetings, with prospects. I'm like, one of the most important thing is you can invite your potential clients. You can invite clients that you work with, that build a stronger relationship. It's not necessarily, the metrics, that you're tracking basically could be very wrong, So if you go for shares, likes, and all that, you might stop after the first episode. But if you think about the relationship you can build with these people, if you select your guests right, if you do everything right behind the scenes, it's 100%. Massive, and you lead so much bigger things, in the future.
100%.
Right. Enough of podcasting, because I can talk forever about it. But going back to LinkedIn, I've seen a report for Metricool, which is the scheduling platform I'm using, and they analyze, I don't know how many, I can't remember now how many hundreds of thousands of accounts. And they were saying something that's not really that big of a surprise, I guess, to most of us, that personal profiles, do a lot better than pages. And I see you driving your personal profile and not focusing on pages. Why is that? And how do you see is it still value?
Yeah,
is it value on having a page to begin with?
Good question. So I think we're talking to small business owners. Small business owners, especially in the B2B space, rely on relationships, which is why podcasting and those sorts of things are great, because people will buy from you. They always have. The term is people buy from people, and people do not buy at a smaller level a brand name. They would much rather work with Jack as opposed to the Content Club. That feels professional and corporate and quite a firm entity. Jack feels fun, personable, likable, bit of a dick sometimes, but we quite like that because it's quite endearing. And again, you don't need as many customers as you think in a B2B space. If you charge an all right amount for your product or service, you need 5 or 10 clients and on a retainer. That's all you need, and you're laughing, So I kind of get company pages from a brand. From a messaging standpoint, when you get to the higher level of big London agencies, Jellyfish, that sort of level, hundreds and hundreds of staff, they're a big corporate, or companies like Accenture, one of the top 5 in the world, those sorts of level of businesses. But when you're small, you just need to build relationships with a handful of the right people. That's really it. And I think, I don't know the stat exactly, but it's something like your personal profile reach is 300% more than your business. I don't know what the stat is exactly. Needless to say, your personal stuff will always outperform your company stuff because it comes from a person and not a logo or an icon that people can't really resonate with. I think it's also important in a very AI-driven feed at the moment at least, I think personality wins. It always has done. It always will do. It's not a cheat sheet. It's just fact. People get on with people. So rather than creating corporate designs and putting it on your company page, if you just put a video of yourself up on your own profile, chances are it's going to perform better and it's going to get you more leads if you've structured it right. I don't even remember the last time I posted on my company page I've got it up here. When was the last time I posted on my company page? I sometimes do it, but it's got 1,000 people that follow it, and the last post got 3 likes. It's point proven.
Just to show that it's not dead, you know.
Yeah, point proven. So 2 months ago, I put out a post, 3 likes, got 1,000 people that follow it. I put a photo up of myself and my wife on LinkedIn the other day. It reached something like 150,000 people, like 500 people liked it. So it's point proven, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why you could post on the company page now, to be honest.
Yeah, very true. And I tested it. You know, I think it's like anything else. You don't need to take my word or Jack's word. Test it. You know, you'll see it in analytics, and it's like anything else. You know, you can test it and see what works. You know, it might be opposite to you. Who knows? It might be one of the odd
100%.
ones.
You've got to test stuff. And this is my whole principle with anything that you do in marketing. There isn't a cheat sheet. There isn't a blueprint. There isn't a course that you can go through that's going to teach you how to do it, because it's all relative. There's so much cadence to stuff. What works for you will not work for me. What works for me will not work for somebody else. We have different situations. We spend different amounts of time on different priorities in our life. We run different services in different industries at different price points for different people. You creating a podcast, if I copied your format, would not work for me, because it's so specific. But you have to test stuff. And what I try to teach and what I try to guide people on is, don't get caught up on a certain way of doing things. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with solving the problem for people. And what you'll find is, naturally, through doing it, you will get better. But people don't want to spend the time going on that journey. They want someone to say, look, in 5 days, I'll get you a 6-figure business. Or in 30 days, you're going to create some viral content. It's like,
we do like the fast track
that's
approach. You know,
kind of
it's
it.
just
People don't want to do the work anymore. But you know, I know from 10 years of running businesses, it's fucking hard work, and it takes a long time to do it. And there isn't really at least I haven't found a cheat sheet formula to beat that system. It's just a lot of trial and error, making mistakes. You know, little things like when I ran my first business, I used to do cash in hand jobs without contracts, and I was annoyed that someone didn't want to pay me after I did the job, and I just thought, why have I not got a contract?
You learn it the hard way.
So all these little things that you learn along the way, but it's, you know, you learn through doing it, but you have to fall in love with the process. You have to integrate it into your life, and that requires a certain type of person. It's got to be instinctively, it's got to be in your gut that you want to do the thing. Otherwise, you'll have your group of marketers and they'll go, we need to start a podcast. And you as the founder go, yes, okay, let's start a podcast. And in 10 episodes time, because it hasn't got the downloads you want, they go, well, it's not working, let's stop the podcast. But if you
changing the strategy as
if you love it and you implicitly go, I fucking love talking to people every week, I love the relationships I'm building, you're going to be doing this for 5-10 years, and in 5-10 years time you're going to have an amazing podcast. So fall in love with the process. Bit whimsical, that bit of advice, but just fall in love with the process.
Yeah, I had someone contacting me, you know, to hire the studio, and they were like, oh, you know, I want to start, I'm on Instagram, you know, I want to start my YouTube channel, and I've seen that you've got a cooking channel, and it's not cooking that I want to do, he was saying, you know, actually, that's how I started video, you know, for people that don't know this, you know, with cooking videos, and it was like, oh, you've got over 20,000 subscribers. I'm like, yeah, mate, but this, you know, is over years of work, you know, I'm not actually that good at it, I just do it, you know, and, you know, in time, you know, you still kind of do something meaningful. And he was like, okay, so how do I grow a YouTube channel fast? And I'm like, you don't, you do it 100%. Slow. It's like, what do you want me to do? I'm the wrong person if you want me to tell you how to do it fast. So there's no such a thing. 100%. Or there are very few people that can do it. Let's put it this way.
It's a very small percentage of people. You know, I would say 5% of the people listening to this podcast will, and I don't mean this in any way, shape or form, rude or discriminatory. It's just, you just aren't built to do it. That's it. That's the fact.
Won't take any actions
that's
as well.
You know, it's you like the idea of it and you'll be learning about it, but you don't feel that feeling in your gut that's like, I'm going to stick at this no matter what because I really enjoy doing this thing. And they are the people that don't do well with it. You know, it becomes too tactical as opposed to trying to find the fun in it and trying to, especially with video, you know, let's be real. The first 50 videos that you create are going to be shit. They're going to be crap. And you're going to, at the end of those videos, look back and go, oh, they haven't worked at all. I've got no leads. My profile's going backwards. My engagement's absolutely dropped. And you can either choose to go, right, it's not worked, so I'm going to throw in the towel and try and find something else that could get me results faster. Or you can look back and you can go, why haven't they worked? What is it about the content that I've made that isn't resonating with people? What are other people doing in this space that I can learn from and try and test their approach for myself? What can I learn? That mindset is going to get you much further, but it takes a long time. And I've been doing this now, making videos for about 15 years, and there's still things that I learn today that I post a piece of content and I go, why did I post that? It's crap. I need to do something else. So even the pros get it wrong, you know.
Yeah. But we nearly 40,000 followers on. I keep saying followers. It's followers. No, it's LinkedIn, connections or followers is a combination. Yeah. On LinkedIn, if you lose everything today, how do you start from zero?
Well, this is what I'm thinking of doing because my followers, my audience of people have grown through my agency days, and they were the ones that I was connecting with when I was trying to sell them a £50,000 video as opposed to a membership for a community. So it's changed a lot. So I'm kind of exploring this idea of what happens if I do start from zero again. And I think it is just go back to the roots of things. Create content that people want to watch. Don't be boring, and do it long enough that anybody else who is a competitor of yours gives up before you do it. It's not about being the best at this stuff. It's just about doing it for the longest. That's what I've learned in business. It's never about being the best at what you do. It's just about doing it for longer than anybody else can be bothered to stick around for. That's literally it. So saying that, you've got to come at your content with a different approach. If everybody is creating content on the feed and they're all doing talking head videos, they're all writing a post, 3 things that I've learned about marketing, or it's all really boring. What can you do? Inject a bit of personality to something. Have a bit of spunk with your content, you know? If you're boring and your content's just what everybody else is doing, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really, really hard to stand out. And you see people now kind of jumping on platforms, or Substack is kind of the new one that people talk about, even though it's been around for a long time. And some people on LinkedIn have done incredibly well, really, really, really well within the space of a year or two, and they've got a huge audience of people. They haven't built a business because what they haven't done is build an audience of buyers. They've built an audience of followers. They've built an audience off of the back of funny content that's gone crazy viral, and loads of people have liked it and loads of people have shared it. But when they come to promote their product or service and say, hey guys, I've just launched this thing, can you pay me money? And they go, no, you're the funny guy on LinkedIn. That's why we watch you. So you've got to be very careful with it. And this is why I say my mindset's very different with LinkedIn. It's not a platform to get likes and views, and whilst it makes you feel good, I don't care if you like my content. I only really care if you buy my stuff. And I would genuinely build a nice relationship with you if you want to learn about what I do. If you don't, life's short, man. I've got a baby on the way. I've got a wife. I'm trying to save for a house. I need to earn money, right, to live. And my focus is my family, as it should be for you guys and yourself hosting, Radu. So, I haven't got time to make friends and to piss around meeting people for a coffee, and I haven't got time for that. I'm here to support my family, and the way that I do that is by marketing a business and getting buyers through the content that I create. And the cool thing here as well is no one's getting out of this alive. So none of this matters at the end of the day, mate. Do your bit, post your stuff, and fuck off.
Don't take it too seriously, like some people do.
Just chill out a bit. We're in the floating rock in the middle of space, mate. Nothing matters. It's just have a bit of fun. Stop getting too stressed over stuff. Just enjoy it. That's what I say. Anyway.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, absolutely right. Yeah, especially with AI now kind of slowly taking over, we might just have an agent doing the content for us. Who knows what's around the corner? 100%. Actually, how do you see AI in all this craziness? Is it going to be affecting video badly?
No, I don't.
Because I do feel like it's probably going to blur some lines in terms of like what's real, what's not. That's definitely already starting to happen. But I see, for example, more valuable than ever, live streaming, for example. I don't know. Like, how do you see all these video and AI combination?
I love it. I think it's great, and I think it's what it's doing is it's getting rid of all the wrong people, and what I mean by that is all the very traditional. It doesn't even have to be to do with video creators. It could be marketers. It could be founders. Or AI is changing the whole landscape of how everything works across the board, from marketing to running a business to building stuff to code to development, website design, everything. And I think it's getting rid of all the people that are stuck in their ways of, well, this is how it's done for 50 years and that's how it's going to be done for the next. It's wrong, absolutely wrong. I love Claude. At the moment, I use Grok. I use lots of different other geeky ones as well. I think it's great. It speeds my process up. It allows me to work faster, not harder. And the output, at least from my client's perspective, doesn't change. It stays the same, if not a little bit better. In a video sense, I don't think it's there at the moment. I think it's a little bit choppy in places, but the more people that use it, and as AI gets better and the infrastructure globally becomes greater, chances are it's going to get smarter, and it will start to eliminate a lot of the laborious stuff. For example, now you have tools where you can put in your main camera's footage, your second camera's footage, lots of different audio clips for a podcast, and you can just press a button and it will cut it all up into a podcast for you, literally in about 5 minutes. So you don't have to do any work. The problem with that is that the people that create that sort of content are the people that want quick wins. And they'll create 5 of those podcasts and they'll go, oh, I've done it in 5 minutes. This is great. But again, 3 months later, they'll go, well, it hasn't got results, so I'm going to quit. I don't care. By all means, go and do that. I know in the next 10 years, I'm still going to be here making videos because I love the process. I love figuring out how it works. So the tools that are coming out and all the features and chatbots and all the rest of it, agents, etc., I think it's a great thing because it will kill off a lot of the people that aren't serious about it. And the people that are serious about it will integrate it into their process. Even just like now, off of the back of this call, we could transcribe it. We could create it into a newsletter. That newsletter could become a YouTube script. Awesome. That's great for me because I've just saved so much time having to re-listen to things and take notes manually. And for that sort of laborious work, fantastic, absolutely great. But I wouldn't trust it to edit a video for me, nor would I really want it to do that because I think that's where your personality comes through and that's where you can put a lot of emphasis on how you want to be shown on the internet. Quality over quantity. But I love it. I think it's great. I think in some places it's not, but generally speaking, in a creative aspect, I think it's brilliant for saving time. So I'm a fan, personally.
Talking about saving time, Jack, I'm cautious of time, and you've got lots of things going on today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this conversation. You amazing as always. Yeah, I mean, there's so much more we can cover. It's almost like a never-ending conversation. You can see it from different angles, but I hope that people watching this, they get the value they're here for. And for people that want to get into more videos and know more about you, we'll leave everything in the comments and maybe join the content club. Why not?
Sounds good, man. Yeah, if anyone has a question, just drop me a message. I'm happy to help. I love this stuff, love this conversation, and I'd be happy to help anyone out who's a bit lost or a bit stuck or trying to figure it out for themselves because it's quite isolating doing it on your own. So shoot your shot, drop me a message. Happy to help out where I can. And I'll do my best to be of service.